So welcome to Cox Bay. I'll give you a quick
Beautiful.
little pan of, yeah, it's not a bad view at all. There's people out surfing this morning.
That's
It's been
gorgeous.
pretty good. It is gorgeous. I'll give you the full. Give me a second here. I'm kind of off to one end, but there's kind of Cox Bay and people, and the resorts are sort of off to that end. And I just kind of decided to come down here because there's quite a bit of wildlife, or marine life, I should say. There's these guys are abundant down here right now while the tide's out.
Oh my.
Nice.
Sea anemones and starfish. What's John been doing?
Oops.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Something.
Okay.
The signal went red.
Yeah.
Might be a little patchy.
No, you're good.
Cool.
So the tide comes in up there, eh?
The tide comes in, and the only problem you really got to watch is when it comes in really quick. So if you're down in the rocks down here, you can find yourself getting trapped. So that's definitely one thing. You got to pay attention to the tide and the water behind you when you're up here at all times. So
That's a gorgeous view.
It is beautiful.
Oh, there goes.
yeah.
So exactly where are you? Hi,
Hey,
Jeffrey.
how is everybody?
Hello, Jeffrey.
Hold
Hello.
on. Have we already started going somewhere?
Yep. Well, we're a little early, but call it the pregame warm-up.
Oh, this is beautiful. Where are we at today?
This is Cox Bay, just outside of Tofino, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island.
I went to Victoria. Are you near Victoria?
That's where I reside.
Oh,
So you're not that far from Victoria now.
That's beautiful.
We're about it was about 6 hours travel by car, so it's straight shot, John. It's about a 5-hour drive. The last hour and a half is quite single lane, twisty, turny, kind of a couple mountain passes that you go through, and as I say, pretty narrow roads. So, and of course it's summer season here in BC, so that means only one thing is it's construction season. So
By Canadian standards, not far at all.
that's right. So it's they closed down. They were doing some blasting to widen the road and the shoulder a bit. So they blast, and then it's closed for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and then alternating traffic. And there are definitely a lot longer lineups waiting to get out of here yesterday than there was coming in. So we seem to be going the right way yesterday. So
That's beautiful.
what was that rock made of? It looks very interesting. Is that coral or what?
no, you know what? It's just probably sedimentary bedrock, and then just over, because the tide comes in that high, it's covered in mussels, and there's two different mussels are the black, and the white are probably another form of mussel or barnacle. So there's, like, as I say, if I come in close, you can see just it's just covered. So you can't, if you climb on it, you got to have shoes on, and if you have shoes on and you fall, you're getting cut up pretty good. So
Well, I wouldn't think we should be climbing it then.
no, I try to stay off of it. So, and then of course you get people up here that are the gentleman up here, big long lens, and he's shooting probably some surf photography. So
Wow, we've been talking about doing this for quite a while, Chris.
We have, and I'm glad to finally get one in the books. So.
Really appreciate it, Chris.
I'd love to give back where I can, right? I myself with the MS diagnosis and have gone through treatment and am lucky enough to
You better
suffer
turn
to
around and walk the other way, Chris.
Yeah, better back up. It's too close to the slope. We can't hear you. The
year and
signal's
a half
going.
being male and being it was really going to do anything for me, and luckily just getting.
There we go. Yeah, we got a couple of people in here. Yeah, go back the way you were.
Perfect. I'll head back this way then.
Yeah. Yeah, your signal is perfect now.
So are those muscles, they're little teeny animals that solidify?
They are little tiny shellfish.
So are they alive or dead right now?
No, they're alive, and right now they're closed up, and they're holding on to what seawater they can, because they're going to be out of the water for probably, I'm guessing, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So they can survive by holding on to that seawater, and you actually hear, kind of funny while I'm standing here, you guys probably can't hear it, but there's all these little clicks, and you kind of go, oh, what's that? Well, it's all these little shellfish, and they're squirting a little bit of water out that they've held on to, and they're just releasing a little bit of water. But the noise is, if you're quiet and can hear it over the roar of the surf, it's quite interesting. So
give us a little 360 view of the ocean for the people that just came in.
Oh, that's beautiful right there.
It seems to be overcast.
Yeah.
it is a little bit. The beautiful thing here is that yesterday was a bright sunny day, but the coldness of the ocean, you get quite the sort of fog bank, and the humidity sets in at night. And then like this morning when I woke up, I couldn't even see the beach from our room. And we're only probably about 200 yards off the beach. And, this time of day, everything's lifted, and yeah, it's an overcast day, but the sun's still kind of peeking through, and as the day goes on, the weather lifts and you get better and better conditions. But things surf-wise right now is just incredible. There's got to be, I'm just looking here quickly, but how many people? There's probably got to be, I don't know, 40, 20, 25, 30 people in the water that I can see right off the bat down at this end.
Wow.
Wow, that's a big family. The guy has a baby and kid, like 5, 6 kids.
Yeah.
So if muscles are
So you get a lot of
are muscles like barnacles?
They are another shellfish. They are like barnacles. Mussels you can actually eat though.
Yes.
Yes,
They're wonderful.
They are wonderful. So
Garlic, spinach, pasta.
that's right.
Can you collect them off the rocks and cook them and eat them, or do you catch them in the ocean?
No, you collect them off the rocks, or you get them in a restaurant. It's the better way. The only thing is, if you're gonna do that, a lot of people don't realize, but you actually have to have a fishing license and to harvest shellfish, and not a lot of people know that. I am trying to find you guys a starfish. I saw a couple on the way down here, but figured I'd come back this way. There was a couple.
You got a crow climbing around looking for an opening in the shells?
You know what? They're looking for anything they can scavenge, right? And the beach is a wonderful place to scavenge. So.
Oh, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, give me a second here. There's some people taking a photo, but I'll show you a couple of the starfish that you find on low tide in here. And they're kind of cool. They're either a brilliant purple or orange color up here. So there.
Do you have any of that trouble with that wasting disease or whatever was kind of dissolving starfish?
I do not.
Okay.
There's a starfish. My daughter actually touched this one earlier and said how rough it was. So
There's two of them. There's a smaller one.
there is,
The
yes.
right side.
Sea urchin?
There's another starfish, sweetie.
Does the water ever rise up
Turn-
and cover this area?
Yeah, the tide goes up that high.
Really?
That's why they can survive there.
Is there one on?
We're gonna watch Chris get a wet foot.
No, the tide's still. I mean, I'm in the rocks here, and the tide's still quite a ways out. So we were down on the beach about 11 o'clock last night, and so you have four tides, right? You have your low, you have your low, which is your extreme low, and then you have a high tide, and then at night they have a high, which is the extreme high. And last night yesterday evening when we were here, it was a low, and then it went to a high last night, as I say, about 11 o'clock. And that we were literally standing down here, and in the matter of about, I don't know, half an hour, we probably lost most of this beach to the tide. It was incredible to see how fast it was coming in.
You have to move pretty quick.
Yes, it does move pretty quick. So. What? Oh, my daughter wants to take control of the camera, so there you go.
Yeah. Can't she
Clouds are beautiful.
It
Can't
is
she-
beautiful.
turn the camera so we can see you for a second? So,
Sure,
yeah.
Nora, can you turn the camera towards Dad? Hello.
Wow, you have a really nice beard.
You know what? I call it my pandemic beard. I haven't trimmed it since this whole thing started, and it's I've had a beard in the past, but nothing like this, and I'm letting it go. So.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Maybe you could be a Santa Claus in Christmas.
That's right. The wife likes it, so it's staying.
Get you a Sasquatch suit.
There we go. Sure, you should show them another starfish if you can find one. Okay. Hey, sweetie, you just got to be careful with that over the water, right? Okay.
And move it slowly.
And Nora, try to move slow, right?
It makes us dizzy.
I understand that. A 6-year-old does not, so. Nora?
Oh, she knows what dizzy is.
I don't know about that, so.
She's doing a great job. It's nice to see the trees and the rocks.
There, hold on. She wants to say hello, so can you wave?
Hi.
There you go.
Hi, Nora.
Everybody said hi, Nora.
Hi, Nora.
I
Right
know.
on.
Thank you.
And they said thank you. It's a very interesting community. It's was mostly built. There was only back in the day. My grandfather was born and raised in Vancouver, and moved over to the island, Port Alberni, in the early '50s. And he actually was on a supply boat that came into dock here in Tofino and Ucluelet. Tofino being on the north end of the peninsula, Ucluelet on the south. And he used to work up and down the coast here. And it used to be a gravel road in and a gravel road out. So which it's not anymore. It's definitely, they call it the end of the road in Tofino, because you can't go anywhere except one way in and one way out. And yeah, as I say, it's a rough and tumble crowd. It's now a lot of holidayers, a lot of surfers. Tourism, definitely the big key here, the big draw, but fishing and logging was back in the day. So you definitely have the rough and tumble, and the Tofino boys don't like the Ucluelet boys and vice versa, right? So it's definitely a very interesting little town. So they definitely do not like, if you're a local, they love you. If you're not a local, they're kind of, but they depend on the tourism 100% to make a go of it. So it's
Sure.
a very interesting dynamic. So
Pandemic must be affecting them really hard since they
it has
depend
been.
on tourism.
It has been. We actually were due to come up here for 3 or 4 nights the beginning of March, and we got a phone call telling us that they'd given us all our money back and that they were sorry, but they were closing down, and so we had to stay put, and we're up here now. Had to rebook, but that it worked out great. But yeah, it is what it is, and even the restaurants are just starting to reopen, and with some spacing, and yeah, they're making the best out of it. But there's no lack of people up here right now, that's for sure. So
Go see the ocean view again. Swing around.
yep.
The clouds are great.
So every day the tide comes in and goes out once a day or twice a day, or
Twice a day. So as I was explaining a little bit earlier, you have a low tide, a low tide, and in between. So you have a low, a high, and then a low, and then a high at night usually.
what is it right now?
That's probably your low, I'm guessing. And so it'll come in to probably about where I'm standing right now. So I'll give you just some idea of come in probably to about where I'm standing on the beach. It'll go back out a little bit, and then tonight, about 11 o'clock or so, I don't know if you can see the sheen sort of that the water's left on the beach, but it'll come back in, and you only have about 50 feet of beachfront, and that's about it. No. And it's cool. You walk along here, and there's all sorts of sand. I don't know if you guys, does everybody know what a sand dollar is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're getting harder and harder to find because people like to take them. They don't necessarily check to see if they're a living sand dollar or one that's died. And unfortunately,
no.
people often take the live ones. I found one. We happened to stumble upon one last night that was alive, and daughter said, "Oh, it's a whole one. Can we take it?" And I said, "No, put it back." So, but they're getting used to. When I first started coming up here as a child, you walk down the beach and you find 20 or 30 of them, and now you're, lucky to find 1 or 2. So.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Are those a bunch of birds on the left? What's up?
No, those are mostly people off in the distance. As I say, a bunch of people probably in learning to surf. And right now, I'm just looking over my right shoulder, out sort of straight ahead of me, right about there at 12 o'clock is a bigger break, and I don't see. There were a couple of people out there when I got down here, but I don't see them any longer. So. And the one nice thing up. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Are you walking bare feet, or you got sandals, or what? Bare, all right. I bet it feels good on your feet.
It feels so good. The water cools you off if you get too hot. It's a great place because the daily temperature here this time of year is about 18, 19 degrees, and that's warm. So if you get too hot, you just come down to the beach. There's a steady breeze blowing, and there's an easy way to cool off. So.
It's a very unique coastline. I've never seen anything like it.
It is. It's a very rugged coastline. And the reason the surfing is so great is because we're on a part of Vancouver Island. We're far enough north. We're right almost smack dab in the middle. And basically those waves coming in are coming all the way from Japan. It's open ocean right across. So you're getting some big sets. And you come up here in the wintertime. Right now, I'd say these waves at most are maybe about 6, 7, 8 feet. The good ones, you come up here in the winter and they can be 20 or 30 feet in this bay.
Well, how far are you from Port Harding?
From Port Hardy's on the northern tip. Yeah, see, like here's a big set that just rolled in.
Whoa.
And I'm gonna get wet feet here. So you get a big set of bigger waves, and all of a sudden you get the tide rushing in. So
Yeah, be careful.
yeah, and if you do get in the water, the one thing you really got to watch here is it's got a really good undercurrent or a rip tide.
Oh dear.
You can be in the water, and all of a sudden you find yourself getting sucked out. And the one thing you got to remember is you don't try to paddle back into the beach. You actually swim parallel to the beach to get out of the rip tide.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how far is Port Harding from you?
Sorry, Port Hardy, you'd have to cross back over from here. You drive from Tofino back over to Port Alberni, and from Port Alberni back to Parksville on the eastern side of Vancouver Island. And from Parksville, I'm guessing you're still about 5 hours north of Port Hardy.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so basically what we did is left out of Victoria yesterday morning about 9 o'clock, drove north from Victoria, passed through Duncan, Nanaimo, up to Parksville, and then you turn off and you head from Parksville basically right across the middle of the island, from Parksville over the hump to Port Alberni. Port Alberni, you kind of make the treacherous drive from Port Alberni out to the Pacific Rim Highway, and Ukilit would be probably about 5 or 6 minutes to your south, and Tofino's probably about 15, 20 minutes to the north. So.
Oh. I had a photographer friend in Toronto who retired up to Port Harding.
Okay, yeah.
If you ever get up that way, we'll do a virtual photo walk, and you can go and knock on his door.
Perfect.
Say John wants to talk to you.
That is one place I have yet to go, John. I've been as far north as Campbell River, and I think Campbell River is still about a 2-hour drive from Port Hardy. I could be wrong, but your Port Hardy's about as north as you can go.
Yeah, you kind of run out of road.
That's right.
What a beautiful beach.
Oh, she's digging for stuff.
Oh, she's just playing in the sand.
Do those waves get big enough where people can surf on them?
Oh, there's people out surfing right now.
Oh.
There's one guy that just got up. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh yeah, I just saw him.
Oh,
I saw two of them.
Guys up actually. Yeah.
Yep.
If you do the pinch to zoom, put your fingers on the screen and do a little bit of a separation, you might be able to zoom.
Yeah, let the water go back out here and my feet stop sinking, and I'll definitely.
It depends on how clean you. There you go.
How clean his fingers are? Is that what you were about to say, John?
Yeah, it depends on how clean your fingers are and how clean your screen is. Sometimes
both are pretty clean. So
that worked pretty
here,
well.
I'm looking.
There's one.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a guy just,
I see it. He's riding the wave.
Yep.
And there's a cute little girl with
yeah, trying to
a
be
pink
the center of
shovel.
attention.
There's another one.
Yeah, this time of year they run, like there's got to be, I don't know if you can tell out in front of me here and now, there's got to be probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 younger people in the water that are learning to surf. So
Is this considered a public beach or is it just for those who have the resort?
no,
Or-
it is a public beach as well.
How mountainous is that area? It looks like a mountain back there.
Oh, what happened there? You know what? It gets mountainous between here and Port Alberni, but it's not. I mean, as we came through, there were a couple of mountains, the tops of which were still snow covered. These you could basically hike to the top to probably a normal person probably an hour or two. They're not that tall. Some of them you can actually. There's one just on the other side of this bay that you can drive up called Radar Hill, but you're quite a ways off the water going up it.
The reflection of the sky and the wet on the beach is kind of fun.
It is cool. We actually, my wife and I got married here back in 2009, and the day we got married, it was bright sunny, and our wedding photographer actually managed to capture right around in the same area that I'm standing, and our reflection in the water and the background nature in that. It was pretty cool. There we go. There's
Oh,
a crab
wow.
shell.
Look at that.
Yeah, Dungeness crab. Good find.
Mommy found it.
Nice.
So she said, Mommy, does that mean your wife or what?
Yes, my wife. So that's my daughter that just ran off in the lower right there, and my wife that's just standing beyond her. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's nice. So you just have the one little girl?
Yes, I was literally handed the MS diagnosis the same day that we were told we were pregnant with her. So that kind of, and as I say, I had quite a rough start with the MS. It was awfully aggressive or active when I was first diagnosed, and went through probably half a dozen to 8 or so back-to-back relapses over the course of the year and a half. I tried 2 different medications, the first of which did nothing but gave me horrible side effects that turned me into a bit of a monster. The second of which stopped the relapses, but did nothing at all to slow the progression of the disease. Luckily, I had a doctor in Victoria, a neurologist, that realized this, said there's nothing I can do for you except give you a referral to a buddy of mine that runs the. Okay, hold on. What did you find?
He has no idea.
Oh, found something and we don't know what it is. Oh, you got it all sandy. Looks like a little squid. We saw a couple of them. Interesting. Sandy though, hard to tell. Yeah, it's all good. We noticed a few of them last night. They look like little tiny octopus lying in the sand, and they're only about the size of a loony. And my wife said to me, "What's that?" And I said, "I don't know. It looks like a little tiny octopus or some sort of squid." But there was probably a dozen of them laying dead on the beach around us, and it must be. I'm thinking the water's warmed up a tiny little bit. It's that time of year, and they probably hatched and not all of them make it, of course.
Right.
And here, I'll give you an idea of sort of what the resorts look like. Oh. There's Long Beach Lodge. Next to that is Cox Bay Beach Resort. And then you have the start of a resort called Pacific Sands. It's quite one of the more historical and one of the more built up resorts.
Chris is on my Facebook friends, so you can go there and friend him up, and he's quite knowledgeable about MS and different things, so you might be able to.
I know way too much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Do folks use the low dose naltrexone much?
You know what? It's something I'm aware of. I don't know anybody that's on it, because that, as I know it, is a drug that has now been redesigned once yet again and cleaned up a little bit. And I believe it is called Ocrevus, and was just released in the last, I'm going to say 2-3 years. And it is the first treatment that we've seen for primary progressive MS. So they're definitely making leaps and bounds treatment-wise. But I hate to say it, they're all about the next best treatment, because you don't make any money off of a healthy person, right? So
Right, and naltrexone is generic, and it doesn't make anybody money either.
Exactly, right? So now it's been given a new name, it's been reformulated, and it's probably twice the price tag. Because the drug treatment that I went through was a low dose, basically chemotherapy. In a higher dose, it was called Campath or Cammab or something, and it was a chemotherapy for 2 types of rare leukemia. And they ripped it off the market once they discovered it had potential for MS. They reformulated it. It's a fraction of the amount of juice that they actually put in you, but it's twice the price tag and is currently the most expensive treatment for MS, aside from stem cell. So all said and done, it's about $100,000 worth of medication, Canadian. It's 8 days of IV infusion. You do 5 days your first year. 12 months later, you go back and you have 3 more days. And basically, to put it in common terms, it's like hitting Alt-Control-Delete on your immune system. It wipes out your immune system. It depletes the T and B cells of your lymphocytes, and those are the ones that patrol your body looking for invaders. And then luckily, you rebuild those cells through your bone marrow. And you hope that your bone marrow is not been reprogrammed through MS. And luckily for me, as I said, I did 2 rounds. I have the residual damage of suffering for the first year and a half. They would have liked to gotten to me with this a lot sooner, but I had missed clinical trials, and just lucky that it was there, and the job and the benefits cost up the money and covered the whole dang shoot, because it's a cool $100,000 of medication, but once they get it administered to you, it actually is around $500,000.
Whoa.
Well, you got to figure eight days of IV infusion. They need a doctor on call.
Yeah, a couple of nurses.
Couple of nurses, so you got to pay for that. You got to pay for their time, the room that you're sitting in. It adds up. I happened to see the billing on my app for my private insurance at the time, and I just about fell out of my chair when I saw what they were billing daily. It was ridiculous.
I hate to think what that would be in the States.
Luckily, I'm, as you saw, not the smallest person in the world. I'm not the quietest person. So I was asked to sit on a review committee. Basically it was a submission that was submitted to BC Pharmacare, and tell them to get off their butts and approve it, so that people without the sort of benefits such as myself and that wouldn't be left in the dark. Otherwise, I would have been waiting another 4 or 5 years until it was approved in BC.
Oh,
here.
good grief.
So, yeah, which is kind of crappy to think, but luckily the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I had a couple people that contacted me and said, they're willing to cover half of it, and I'm looking at remortgaging my house, or I'm looking at cashing in my life savings to whatever. I said, you got to bang and kick a little. I said, tell the drug company, you're married, you got a wife, you got 2 kids, or you got a husband, you got 2 kids, forget it, right? Tell them, come on, they'll, and sure enough, they, say, holy crap, I can't afford this. Maybe I got to look at a different option. And the drug company would come back and say, well, we can cover 80%.
Oh, gee.
Right? They're as I say, you gotta, it's a very interesting society, and a very interesting, the medical system to me is just, and inner workings of, and the way that doctors get kickbacks for giving
I
a
was going to
prescription
say,
or
who
filling a
scratches whose
prescription.
back? Yep.
Exactly, right? So they're in bed with the doctors, the neurologists are in bed with these drug manufacturers. The drug manufacturers are in bed with the neurologists, and it makes the world go round. But meanwhile, the patients are the ones that get caught up in it all, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Something's working because you were a mess last year.
Yes, I was.
Surfer coming in, surfer going out.
Yeah.
I got my diagnosis that I had Parkinson's on April 1st,
Oh, no.
2007. And I
Okay.
asked the doctor, I said, is this April Fool's joke? Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
I had a neurologist that walked in the ER room, basically looked at my CAT scan. They couldn't give me an MRI at the time. Looked at my CAT scan and asked me if I'd ever been in a motor vehicle accident and how many of them I'd been in.
Oh,
I
wow.
said, why? And he says, well, I got good news and I got bad news. He says, the good news is he says, you're not going to die anytime soon. He says, the bad news is you probably have MS, and he says, you have 3 huge lesions on your brain. I said, like, are you huge lesions on your brain? So basically, MS attacks your central nervous system and basically attacks your spinal cord, the nerve endings in your spinal cord, or the nerve endings in your brain. So it wears, if you think of all your tiny little nerve fibers as an extension cord, it wears that plastic coating off the extension cord, so that the electrical signal going down that cord either jumps or misfires, and doesn't. Therefore your muscles don't respond properly. It's interesting. So.
Yeah, I don't have MS, but I had demyelinated nerve branches in my foot.
Do a 360. Do a 360 back the way you came, so we can see the view. I love hearing you talk about this. Just keep doing every 360 every so often. There we go. Chris is a photographer as well, so he took to this like a duck to water. He just
That's
exactly
excellent.
So on a sunny day when it's not overcast, all that sand is dry?
It does dry out quite a bit. It still holds quite a bit of water though too. So that, of course, the higher up the beach you are, the drier and sandier it is. The closer to the water you are, it gets a little damper, and the thing I love about it is you come down far enough here, it's damp, it's wet, and it's almost hard packed to walk on. There's a little bit of sponge to it, but it's not. I hate the big loose sand stuff where
Yeah,
it's
the
nice
real
and
dry
fluffy
stuff.
sand.
Yeah.
That just messes me up.
Yeah.
So it never gets really hot to walk on.
No, it doesn't get hot. So no, it's not tropical. As I say, if you reach above 20 degrees up here during the day, that's warm for them. So I think yesterday was about 18 or 19 sunny. They've got a couple of, I think today and tomorrow is supposed to be overcast, chance of maybe a little bit of rain. And that's another thing. Tofino is the capital of rain on the island. They get more rain than anywhere else. So, and when I say rain, this would be in the winter up here. This would be a summer's day.
Oh, now is the sand really, really fine sand, or is it big and raw?
No, it's very, very fine.
Can you pick some up with your hand?
Yeah, give me a second here.
I just am used to East Coast sand. I wonder how it's different from very, very north. If there is any difference, or is it just?
It's dark.
It's like brown sugar almost.
Is that because it's wet, or that it's
It is because it's wet. Yes.
Because the sand I'm used to when it's wet, it still falls apart.
My wife found a open razor clam with the clam still in it.
Oh wow!
I bet a bird or my daughter did.
Dad, I did.
Okay. Gotta correct that.
Cool.
Did you find a pearl in there?
No, that's a razor clam, not an oyster. And oysters are what have pearls.
Get busy.
Unfortunately, we don't have oysters up here.
No
or I won't say we don't have them up here. You don't find them on this beach.
No excuses.
Yeah, I know. I'll get right on that.
Or a trunk half buried in sand.
The sand on the East Coast is, or at least the Northeast, is a much lighter color.
Okay, yeah.
And it's more granular, like he was saying. It falls apart. It doesn't stick together like that did.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of quartz crystals in that sand.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it must be because the earth that it comes from, the mountains and everything, is more clay material than the eastern coast.
Well, the clay wouldn't do the same. I mean, it's not sand.
So this isn't really sandy beach. It's not the sand I'm used to. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, but it's still nice and fine grained. It's like California, so many of the beaches are pebbles and rocks.
I'm used to beach, so you can't walk on bare feet because it's so hot.
Hot,
You go,
yes.
ow, 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 ow.
No, you don't have to worry about that here.
No, there's a lot of surfers out there.
There is quite a few out here now. I think you've got a couple of group lessons going on a little bit further down the beach there. Lots of people in the water now.
So I had a procedure done on me with surgery in my brain called DBS, deep brain stimulation. And if I didn't have that procedure, I'd be madly in pain, like Spanish Inquisition pain.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm glad it helped.
It
Yeah.
would have cost me like $250,000, but my insurance covered it, and I was only like 2,000.
Perfect.
So it was okay. It's okay. Now my voice is all messing up last few months.
Never did want to be an opera singer, did you?
No.
I actually had more disability prior to treatment and went the opposite way down the, it's called an EDSS scale with MS. And it goes from 0 being no MS and no disability to 10, and 10 being, unfortunately, you succumb to, it's not really MS, but complications caused from your MS. And I was somewhere about a 4.5, 5. And after the 2 rounds, I came back down the scale to about a 2.5, 3. So,
Nice.
sea sponge or a young sea urchin.
Good for
Hold on
you.
here. Nora, can you?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, some sort of.
Oh.
Okay, just leave it, John. Some sort of sea sponge or urchin or all sorts of interesting stuff on the beach. Feathers, shells.
Look like a
Little shells.
potato. A potato.
Yes. Okay. Get lots of these that the kids love to step on. It's basically kelp with the little, my daughter calls them poppers on the end, but it's what floats.
Oh, little bladders.
Yeah.
Is there any jellyfish in that water?
Oh my gosh, hold on here. Yesterday, jellyfish. It's that time of year when they must spawn, and yes, they were all over the beach yesterday. Oh, here we go. There we go. That one's live. I was looking for one. I finally found one. There's a sand dollar. That's alive because it's a dark purple color.
Right.
And if it was dead, so if I reach down and pick that guy up, you can see that it's still alive. It's still dark purple. And when they die, they turn like a white sort of bone color. So.
Right. That's neat.
Don't leave your shovel there, sweetie.
It'll wash away.
Okay, so we were talking about jellyfish too. And I don't know, there's that sort of mass right there, blob that's clear. That's a jellyfish. And I pan over. There's another one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's quite a few, but they're luckily they're young enough that they're probably not gonna get ya.
So
They haven't.
sting ya if they're bigger?
If they're bigger, yes. Luckily, most of the jellyfish that we have up here, though, the stingers are actually up inside the bell of the jellyfish. So you actually have to get a large one that has tentacles that's older, or you have to get yourself wrapped up in one pretty good to get nailed. I've been stung by one before. Not the most pleasant, not the most unpleasant thing. Yeah, it's no.
How long you been with virtual photo ops, Chris?
You know what? I started talking to John probably, I don't know, John, what's it been, just over a year ago or so?
Yeah, when you were in bad shape.
Yeah, I was in rough shape last summer. The heat heat is one thing that affects me brutal. And last year we had that big heat wave here in BC. We had the forest fire season that was out of control, and I was done. I was in bed for oh, probably greater part of a month or so with the heat and that. Just does me in, drags my butt. Luckily this year hasn't been quite as hot, quite as smoky, and I've been faring a lot better. So
The fact that he's been doing photography means it's very easy for him to pick this up. He knows what I want.
Yeah. Speaks the right language.
Can you take photos with this camera?
You can take screenshots.
Yeah, like digital screenshots.
Yep.
When I was on my computer, they were really much better. Now I'm on my iPad. It doesn't seem to be like very good digital representation. I
Huh.
just think it's my device, not any problem with your photo, with your camera.
Looks like somebody's got to untangle a bunch of seaweed from there.
actually carrying it up the beach.
Yeah.
Bull kelp.
I was seeing ads in my feed on Facebook for pickled seaweed.
Yes, that's the new thing.
No,
There he
there's.
goes. Well done.
Try that again.
What happened?
Well, he was sliding for a little bit.
Surfing.
Oh, there's actually, I tried to zoom in here and I don't know what I can see a couple of people, but I can see my own screen, but I can't get back to full screen mode here. There we go. Give me a second here. These two kids are actually skimboarding. So it's either fiberglass or a little wood board, kind of teardrop shape.
Right.
And right in the shallow water, you basically run, you throw the board, and then you run to catch up to it, and you hop on.
Isn't that called boogie boarding?
No, that's skimboarding. Boogie boarding is actually a board that's about half the length of your body, and you'd be out there with the surfers. You've got a wetsuit, pair of fins on, and you're kicking, and you get up, and that little half board gives you enough to catch a wave and come flying in. So, like this, I don't, hold on here. Here's a boogie or a, whoops. Give me 1 second here.
There's a lot of people out there.
There are.
How do they keep from hitting each other?
That's a good question. There is a protocol, an unwritten sort of rule that the first to get up is the one to take the wave, and anybody else that caught the same wave has to back off. But how many people actually follow that? Jennifer, can you give me a hand for a second? Can you pinch or zoom out? You pinch or the opposite? Yeah, and then other way.
Pinch it back in.
No, weird.
You really see them surfing though.
Don't worry about it.
So people still pretty much keeping distance away from each other.
Yeah, you got to keep. You don't want to get hit by another board. That's for sure. Those things are.
But I
don't
mean,
know.
because of the pandemic, do people stay away?
Yes, it's things have relaxed here. Luckily, on the island here, we haven't had a new case in quite a while now, so things are definitely relaxed a little bit more so than the mainland. A lot of people that are over from the mainland, they take the ferry out of North Vancouver and then drive across and up from the Nanaimo. So a few people I've talked to from the Vancouver area, and yeah, luckily we're very lucky to be on an island. Let's put it that way. So we haven't seen the numbers like the rest of BC and the rest of Canada has. That's for sure.
As long as they don't keep coming to visit you.
Wow, that's they keep talking about a second wave. So
I saw on John's Facebook page a picture of the spread of the virus compared to U.S. and Canada. And
the U.S.
the U.S. was all red,
Yep.
totally red.
They had the
Canada had little tiny, teeny tiny red, a couple red dots. You couldn't even see them.
yeah, we're very lucky. What did I read yesterday that the U.S. last night reported the 27th consecutive day of record high new cases. Yes.
We
Yeah,
hadn't really even gone through the first wave here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just went to the store. Everybody has a mask on.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
seeing like 30 people. They all had masks on.
Because around here, a lot of people won't wear them.
So there's the rocks that I started
Mm-hmm.
by, and as you can tell now, that's getting eaten up by
The
the
water's
surf
coming
coming
in.
in the waves.
Yeah.
So that's how much the tides come in. If I turn towards the water here, you can tell that the water is only probably 10 feet or so when it peaks coming in from my feet. If that, this one might actually reach me. Hi, Nora.
It does come in pretty quick.
It does.
How cold is it?
You know what? Today's a little bit cooler. I've got a hoodie on. I'd say it's probably got to be about 15, 16, 17 degrees, somewhere in there, and that's probably where it'll top out. It's there's not a lot of wind, which usually there's quite a bit of wind, but right now it's not that windy, and it's actually quite pleasant down here. So
How about the water?
the water only fluctuates temperature between summer and winter by about 2 or 3 degrees at most.
Wow.
If you don't have a wetsuit on and you're actually in where these people are surfing, you're not going to last more than about 5 or 10 minutes before you start getting the symptoms of hypothermia.
Hypothermia, right.
Yeah. So,
Were those guys carrying a raft on the far left? Were they carrying a raft to the water or something?
no, I don't see anybody. There's a couple of people.
The
couple of
left,
kids.
keep going left. Right
Couple
there.
of surfboards.
Wait a minute, right there, see? Go back a little bit to the right.
Okay.
Right there, I saw some guys carrying what I thought was a raft.
No, one of them's got a surfboard up on top of their head. You wouldn't want to be mucking around with a raft in these conditions.
Or maybe a kayak.
Yeah, you get the odd person. I don't see any kayaks, though. You get the odd person that's got a whitewater kayak that you can come out and play with in the waves, but I don't see any right now.
You're coming up on the hour, Chris. And
Yeah, I was just going to ask if anybody had any more questions or whether.
Well, we want to thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys tuning in. So,
Thanks,
one last.
Chris.
Suzanne,
You're welcome.
Suzanne found us through MS Canada, and so did you, and it's been good, and a few others. So it's good.
Where I felt like I was right there with y'all walking down that coastline.
Awesome.
What a beautiful view.
Awesome.
All right, well, you just tell me whenever you can do something, Chris. This is great.
Sounds good, John. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. and I wish you a happy day.
Take the best of care.
Bye
All
bye.
right,
you.
take care, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.